What exactly is a legal double dip? Sounds a little strange, right? Well, today we're going to dive into a landmark Indian court case, B. Prakash versus Deepa, that tackles this very question. And believe me, the answer is not as simple as you might think. So let me put you in this situation for a second. Imagine you got a problem, a serious one, and you find out there are two different laws that could potentially help you out. The big question is, can you use both of them for the exact same issue? That's what we're talking about with a legal double dip. It's a really tricky spot for the courts.
And hey, this isn't just some law school hypothetical. Nope. Back in 2015, this exact scenario went down for real between a husband, B. Prakash, and his wife, Deepa. It got so complicated that it forced the Madras High Court to step in and draw a really important line in the sand.
All right, so how on earth did they get into this mess? To really get it, we need to look at the two specific laws that were clashing here.
Okay, so on one side of the ring, you've got Section 125 of the Criminal Procedure Code. Let's just call it the CrPC. This law has been around for a long time, and it's super focused on one thing: getting basic financial support or maintenance to a wife who can't make ends meet on her own. Then, in the other corner, you have the much newer Domestic Violence Act from 2005. And this one is a whole different beast. Its goal is way broader. We're talking about comprehensive protection from all kinds of domestic abuse: physical, emotional, even financial. So you see the difference, right? One is about money for survival, the other is about total protection.
And this is exactly where things got tangled. So back in 2008, Deepa files for maintenance using that old law, Section 125. But then, get this. Only 7 months later, while that first case is still chugging along, she files a second case, this time under the Domestic Violence Act. What happens? She ends up with two separate court orders, both for maintenance, basically for the same set of problems. And that was the massive headache the High Court needed to fix. Naturally, this double filing led to a huge legal battle. So let's break down what each side was arguing.
Okay, so the husband, B. Prakash, his argument was basically, hey, this is forum shopping. That's a legal term for trying to game the system by taking the same problem to different courts hoping for a better result. He's saying, look, these are the same old facts. You can't run two cases at the same time. But Deepa's team fired back saying, hold on, these laws aren't an either-or situation. They're meant to work together. Their point was that the DV Act was created for a reason, to offer wider protection that the older maintenance law just couldn't provide.
So you've got solid arguments on both sides. What does the court do? Well, the judge came up with a really smart solution that managed to make both of these laws work together without stepping on each other's toes. The whole thing came down to this one brilliant insight. The judge said, you know what? When a husband fails to pay the maintenance he's been ordered to pay, that's not just a money problem. That is a form of economic abuse. And here's the kicker. Economic abuse is specifically listed as a type of domestic violence in the DV Act. Boom! Suddenly, the two laws were connected. Failing to obey the order from the first case could now be seen as a brand new offense under the second law. This clever move allowed the court to lay out a super clear three-step process. Step 1. You have to pick a lane. You can start with either Section 125 or the DV Act, but you have to choose one. Step 2. If you want to use the other law later on, you have to prove something new happened, a new act of domestic violence that took place after you got your first court order. And step 3, and this is the most important part, you absolutely cannot just recycle the same old allegations to try and get a second bite at the apple. In other words, no double dipping. And this ruling was huge. It wasn't just about solving this one case. It actually created a legal blueprint for the future. So let's talk about why this decision from 2015 is still so important today.
Well, the real-world impact has been massive. For starters, it stops that forum shopping that the husband was worried about, which is a big deal. It means people aren't being dragged through multiple courts over the exact same issue. This, of course, saves a ton of time and money for the court system. But, and this is so crucial, it doesn't just slam the door shut. It creates a clear, fair pathway for someone to get more help if they really need it, as long as it's based on something new. And really, it all comes down to the core of Justice Nagamuthu's ruling. He said, having chosen one forum, if the aggrieved wants to approach the other forum, such approach could be made only on fresh grounds. Basically, you pick your path. You can't try to walk two different paths at the same time for the same destination. If you want to start on a new path, you need a new reason to do so. It's this beautiful balance, right? It protects victims while also making sure the legal system stays fair and orderly. And it really makes you wonder, where else in the law could we use this kind of elegant, common sense thinking?